Welcome to Next Generation, episode number 6.
Today we're going to be looking at the 6th edition of Nintendo Power, which features Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the cover.
In addition to that, we're going to be taking a look at Faxanadu, an RPG. Let's jump right in. First up today, we've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES. What do you think about this game, Laurel?
I thought that it was pretty great.
Okay. Well, so one thing people don't know about you is that you do martial arts.
Yeah.
So how realistic did you feel that the martial arts of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was on the NES?
For one, it's kind of hard to fight with nunchucks. Most of the time you end up injuring yourself more than you end up injuring anyone else. Mm-hmm. And I only use them for performance reasons because since you do all the spinning and stuff, you can make it look really flashy. Mm-hmm. I personally haven't used a scythe, so I can't vouch for that.
Okay. But you've used the bow staff,
yeah,
and the katana, or as they call it, what do they call it in your?
It's a boken,
because
yeah.
It's a training sword. Yeah. Okay. So which of the so we've got 4 characters. Yeah. Michelangelo with the sword.
Nunchuck.
Oh wait, no, I mixed that up. Okay, so yeah. Michelangelo is
the one with the nunchucks.
Yep.
Donatello's with the bow, staff, Raphael's with the sai, and Leonardo is with the katana.
And so which character did you end up playing with the most, do you think?
I think I ended up playing with Michelangelo because nunchucks are rad even if you can't actually fight with them in real life very well or effectively. It is still awesome.
So I think one thing a lot of people found was that Donatello with the long bow staff was sort of considered like the cheap character to use in this game.
Yeah, because it was his.
Because you had such a longer reach.
Yeah.
And you could do stuff like you could be on a platform above enemies.
Right.
And he had like a downward swing, so you could hit them like down through the floor.
Or like if you're under, then you could hit them.
Yeah. So that was kind of one of the ones people used a lot. There was definitely a pretty hard difficulty curve on this game, and that's kind of one of the things it was known for, was just being a really difficult game. Friends and I would play this game and just get stuck. I don't even remember how far we got, because there's this one level you get to that's like a swimming side view where you have to swim through kind of these electrical, I don't remember what it was, but some sort of electrical stuff that you would run into, and it was just really hard to maneuver. And you were trying to defuse a bomb, I think. So yeah, it has a pretty big difficulty curve. I don't even think I know anybody that ever beat the game. So you've got the map view, and then going down into the sewers kind of goes with the side view. But that was kind of an interesting thing, that you're moving around the city in the top view.
Yeah, and then when you go into the sewers or wherever you are, it's a side view. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's, unless you have anything else to add about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No, I think that is all for the turtles.
Second game we have today is Faxanadu. I guess first up we should kind of give an overview of the game.
Yeah.
So it's a side-scrolling RPG, sort of similar to Zelda 2 or Castlevania 2 in the style. Side combat, collecting items, buying things with gold, resources you collect, going into towns, talking to people, puzzles, that sort of thing. Do you remember how far you got into it? Did you get out of the town?
Yeah, I got out of the town.
Okay.
However, I didn't get very far from there. I only went like a few screens to the right and like one up, and then I ended up dying.
So yeah, you were telling me you started off going to the right.
Yeah.
Right? And
because when you first walk in, I ended up walking to the right, and the guy's like, "Go straight to the king," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm assuming that's the same way." And then I ran into a thing that tried to fight me, and it turns out you can't fight without a dagger. So I died.
Well, so that's actually an interesting point, the going left versus right thing. I mean, now it's sort of just convention that most platform games, like And I think it kind of comes down to cultural stuff where like we read left to right in the West, and I think that's kind of just how that convention got set, that we think of the right as being forward, whereas in Japan and some other places I can't remember if it's Japan, I think they sometimes print vertically also.
Yeah, I think it's...
But I do know their books go backwards, because your sister has that Japanese book, and it goes the other... Anyway, so that's kind of an interesting thing, is what direction we think of as forward. And so that kind of threw you off in this game, thinking like, to progress I must go to the right, whereas you actually had to go to the left to see the king.
Them not telling what direction you had to go in, it took me a while to figure out. Mm-hmm. In this game, it kind of takes a lot of time to do things. Like, when you finally defeat the monster and you're ready to go out into the outside world, then you realize that you needed a key, so then you have to travel all the way back, and that takes kind of forever. Like, I think it was like 16 minutes of footage after I'd died and finished my very sad little playthrough, and I didn't even get that far.
So the story is your classic, evil has emerged in the world and trying to take over, and I guess there's the elves and the dwarves, and the elves or the dwarves were transformed into monsters. So kind of the first place you go to is sort of the base of this tree. You're kind of working your way through some enemies. Then there's later on inside of the trunk, and then up into the branches, and then finally the last part of the game is the dwarves' stronghold. Yeah. So you're kind of progressing. So in the beginning of the game, you kind of see that intro with the character walking towards the tree. Yeah. So the tree is kind of a prominent thing in the theme of the game and the story. For me, growing up, I'd never heard of this game until like the last couple of years, when I kind of got back into NES collecting and playing through some of these games that I didn't see growing up, and I don't think I knew anybody that had the game. It's just one that I never even came across. Another thing we found in kind of doing our research for it was that it's kind of higher acclaimed today. Like, it's sort of like one of those like call it like a cult classic kind of thing, where it's held in higher regard today than it was necessarily back then. I just, for whatever reason, it didn't seem to become really popular, at least in my circle or in the things I had seen. Thanks for watching Next Generation.
If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more like it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe.